Hello and welcome to my family empowerment. And today is Marketplace Monday, and I have a special guest with me today. She's amazing. She's wonderful. She's phenomenal. I even seen one of her commercials on TV. So she's doing so many great things for the community here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I'm sure abroad, other places as well. Because guess what? We're worldwide, and we can do so many different things online today. We never know who's watching. So I'm so glad that she could fit me in her schedule today to do just a quick, Q&A to find out, to actually to share with the world even more what she's doing. And it is none other than is it Iryonna Hogan Davis?
Iryonna.
Oh Lord, I still messed it up. Okay, Iryonna.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Iryonna. Okay. And she is actually, she's the founder of Meaning in Color. So,
Yes.
Miss, is it Hogan Davis or Hogan? Which one do you want me to do?
It's Hogan Davis. Yes.
All right. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, background, anything that you would like people to know who you are even today, because we evolve over the years. So, if you don't mind sharing with us who you are.
Absolutely. So I'm Iryonna Hogan Davis. I am a mother, proud mother. I am a wife, and I am a spiritual leader. Those are my three most main areas. So I like to start off with that. Just a little bit about Meaning in Colors, how we got to this space. Meaning in Colors is a nonprofit organization. We're really big on self-sufficiency. Our main programs is workforce development and housing, alongside some other things about me that some others don't know, because Meaning in Colors is the biggest thing that I do. But I also have a consulting company where I help small business owners, and I do speaking engagements around financial education and motivation. And then I'm also the co-owner with my husband for Davis Extreme Party Rentals, where we rent out chairs, tents, and other entertainment, so event coordination and things like that. And then I am also the owner of a boutique called Perfect Fit Boutique, where I just literally allow one of my youth mentors to come alongside with me to run it. And so that has been a joy. And so those are just some other things people always associate with me in the colors. But I am a serialpreneur, is what they call it.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh, you have time to sleep?
Oh, it doesn't feel like it some days.
I bet. I bet. So tell us a little bit about Meaning in Colors. How did it form? When did you establish it? What was your passion behind the organization?
Absolutely. So our name is very unique. When I was attending Siena Heights University, I was the president of the organization. And so I surveyed the student body and asked them what would be a significant name to them, because it was an organization to be able to serve the Black population, because the demographic there, typically the Black students were all associated with athletes. And so we wanted to be able to have something else that existed for Blacks. And so that's where the name Meaning in Colors came from. Fast forward, um, through my own experiences, I graduated from Siena Heights with my bachelor's in criminal justice. At one point, I wanted to be a criminal attorney. However, I did my last senior year, and I seen some things that I just felt that I would be better in a space to be able to help the community in a different way.
Mhm.
And so, unfortunately, I had got pregnant. Well, fortunately, because I love my son, but
Right.
at the timing, of course, just graduating from college, first graduate of my family, and being pregnant, I had to move back to Grand Rapids, Michigan. And so when I was at school, navigating the housing system looked a lot different for me. It was really easy. I literally picked up a newspaper, spoke to a private landlord, and immediately I was able to move in next week.
Wow.
Fast forward to coming to Grand Rapids, graduating, first time being on my own, in a sense of not in like housing as a student. The system was crazy. I remember getting so many denials. I didn't even understand some of the reasons why they denied me. The ones that stick out most to me is I didn't make enough money, which I didn't understand. I had to make three times the amount of rent. And then secondly, I made too much money, And so I remember just saying, what is this all about? I'm a graduate. I was a very motivated graduate. I was in a hard time in my life because I didn't want to be pregnant. And I just really wanted to get some sustainability. And so going from this high achieving student to this mother, new mother, I just felt so defeated. And so I remember going to different organizations and asking for support. And it was just so many requirements needed. And I was like, what is this about? Like, why do people have to go through so many loops for the basic things? And so at that moment, I was like in a really dark spot. And I remember me and my mother getting into it. And so I ended up sleeping in my car at the McDonald's on Division. And literally, that's when God gave me my vision. And God was like, listen, there's going to be a time and point where you're going to have your own organization, where you're going to be able to remove these barriers for people. They're going to be able to come in and be able to be housed. I was like, Lord, in my head, like, here I am sitting in this car, pregnant, just graduated. Like, my dreams seemed like they was so far-fetched. But he did it. And so fast forward 2.5 years later, I was able to get my first transitional housing unit where it served 5 men. I started with men because typically I always take on the hardest task, that was the hardest task because there was no real support for single men. And so everybody was like, but you a mom and you're a woman. Why didn't you start? I'm like, that's true. However, in this system, once you be able to support this group of individuals, it will be able to expand to other demographics, right? Because there was places for women and children. There were places for women in abuse. There was these support systems that still existed. Even though it wasn't many, it still existed. And so I started with the men and I just watched them soar. We started off, brought them in. We created a curriculum specifically around housing. And we just really wanted to meet them where they were at, but made sure that we were very transparent about how to get them where they needed to go. Right. And so almost all of them left us in a different capacity. When people used to think in terms of homelessness, they always thought about the person who just chose to do nothing with their life. And that wasn't the situation. We had a foreign exchange student who literally just aged out of his program and no longer could be housed at the home. We had a recently divorced guy. We had someone who recently just exited out the incarceration system. We had a guy who was with a woman. In fact, they were the only couple who stayed at the bottom level. And then we had another young man who was just waiting in that period to be housed for college. All different walks of life. But it was still extremely hard for them to get housing. And so I always tell people, you got to be careful when you attach stereotypes to individuals because it can be the very person that served you. When I was receiving calls, when we initially put our ad out, I was getting calls from doctors, nurses, teachers, right? That was just like, I am in a period of my life. The housing market is switching. We just need a time to just stay momentarily. And this was before shared living became this big thing. This was 7 years ago. And so people, they didn't talk about it as much. But now you see it where there's specific houses designated for traveling nurses or, young college students are sharing housing just because dorms are too expensive. So that model has been adopted and we see it exist today as a very strong, lucrative model. But when we first started, that wasn't the case. I remember us saying, going through inspections, it's like, oh, you only can have so many families per household, which that's still a thing. But I feel like they have gotten away from how strict it was. Just a lot of different raft about shared living. And to today, we've now had about 9. 2 of them we turned over to our tenants once they did well for 1.5 years because the housing market, the inflation was so high that we were like, you know what? You've done well. We're going to step away and let you oversee this unit on your own, which is one of the models that we still do to this day. If there's a housing unit that exists and somehow, some way, an individual is not able to obtain a housing unit, if you've been with us for a certain time, we put that lease in our name. Because we know the barrier up to getting housing, but we also walk alongside and try to support them to meet those gaps. And that's really what Meaning in Colors has been about, is really filling in that gap. It's a small demographic. I say small, but we served over 350 families in the course of the time that we've been around. But I say a special gap because there's a lot of individuals who don't necessarily qualify for our organization, because what we know is that there's a lot of dollars that's thrown at critically homeless individuals, right? Individuals who are considered that category 1. Whereas we typically serve individuals who go to work every single day, who have some form of income, who's maybe one car repair away from an issue, maybe lost their job and something significant has happened. So that's kind of, where we kind of fall in that area. And then we just created a workforce development program for youth that's specifically designed to expose them to different businesses so that they have a higher chance of knowing exactly what it's going to take to graduate and sustain as an adult. So we do everything from financial education, self-building, self-worth, self-care plans, career readiness, mock interviews, all of those things. And so that's really what Meaning in Colors is all about: sustainability, education, and really empowering our community.
Right. Yeah. And you just led right into that question I was going to ask you. What was some of the programs you have? And then I also want to ask you, because I know from your website it stated that you dealt with or work with a lot of the young adults, but it seems like you also work with older adults as well.
We do. And to be quite honest, we're actually, because we've grown so much, we've literally now had to narrow it down, and we're actually going through a rebranding stage where it's only going to be young adults and then families with youth.
Okay. Okay.
Which, yeah, and it's going to be kind of difficult because for a long time we served a large demographic, but unfortunately, when the work grows, we don't want to lose focus of our site and being intentional with how we do our program, and so we have to focus in.
Right, right, absolutely. Because then it gets really tight too when you stretch it out too far. I
Yes.
know you've been there already. Like, oh, let me rethink this.
Yes,
I need
absolutely.
a new strategy, and I totally get it. I totally get it. So tell us, what is it like to get into your program? What's the process like?
Absolutely. So typically, we've been established for a while. So most of our referrals come from either agencies or word of mouth. Literally, someone would go on our website, they will submit an inquiry. Once they submit an inquiry, it'll come to our admin. Our admin will then send them an email just saying, hey, fill out our intake form. Our intake form is a questionnaire that asks several questions around demographics, what your needs are, where you're currently living, things like that. If it comes back to us where we have either housing available and you fit that criteria, we'll then send you the housing form. If we look at it and we see that there's other areas or we don't have anything available, then we send out a referral and try to connect them to either other funding sources, other apartment units, or some type of housing choice. If they are struggling and want to become a homeowner and they have issues and they want to get like credit is an issue, we'll sign them up for our financial education class, or we refer them out to other agencies in the community that will support them with one of their acts that was notated on their intake form.
Awesome, awesome. And let me bring, I mean, I saw on your website that you also have like a book club. So I thought
Yeah.
that was very interested. And then was it the first start of reading skills as well for the young kids?
Yes.
I think that is so important. We don't hear a lot of it. We know it's out there for
Hmm.
there's programs out there that help, but I was excited to see that because I'm learning every day when I talk to some families that their kids are not reading at the level that they should. Still today, it's 2024, and we still have this issue going on. Tell us a little bit about what your experience has been.
Absolutely. So COVID has been a big hindrance towards reading programs, reading in general for youth. I remember the reason why we started our book club, Brian and Iran's book club, was because my son in particular, they had the third grade reading law, and it's no longer in existence. I think they just did away with it last year. But at one point, if you didn't read at a certain grade level, you could not go into that next grade level. And so I remember as a mom, especially during COVID, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Like that changes things. Like you don't want your child to be held back because of the lack of consistency in, whether at school or maybe parents don't have that additional time where they're not able to read with their child because they're at work. Like, we don't want our children to fall behind because of that. And so literally we created our program to be able to enhance reading skills. We wanted to be able to make it fun. We wanted to be able to help them with reading engagement, to be comfortable to read in front of crowds. We know at that younger age, typically our kids are asked to read out loud. And believe it or not, a lot just don't want to, either because they don't feel confident, or
Mhm.
they get embarrassed. They feel like their reading isn't where they want it to be. And so that's what we really focused on in our reading program. Every child walked away with the book. We were very intentional. Well, we are very intentional with the book that we choose. Doesn't matter if you're even at that toddler stage. If you want to come up front and read, I'm literally sitting over the kids and reading with them, because people don't understand, even just by having the book, looking at the letters,
Yeah.
that all helps. Any exposure to reading helps you become better. And we know that the most successful people are the people who are readers. That there's a statistic on that. And so yeah, that's kind of what we do. We provide food for them. We do raffles, and it's all free for
Oh,
our
wow.
client. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. What was the fee? Is there a fee associated with all the services that you do offer?
No, thankfully for the grants that we receive, that particular program is funded.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. So tell us what's next. I know we're journaling down on time. I get it. I want to
Yes.
stay mindful on that. But
Mhm.
tell us what's next for you.
Absolutely. So what's next for me is this big rebrand that we're going to be going into. Been doing this for about 7, 8 years now, and honestly, through those experiences, it got me to this point now. And so I just really just had a meeting with my team, and I really just told them that our biggest goal right now is giving access. We
Mhm.
understand that there are so many systems that we are a part of that are not in favor of Black and brown individuals. And so as a organization, knowing that and being a part of some of these systems and circles, our goal is to literally be able to connect our community with access to be able to thrive. Like,
Right.
that's really what it's all about. And so you're going to see a lot in the next year and a half from us. Again, us focusing in on our youth. We have a program that's going to be launching where that I'm so excited about, what I was just telling you, where in our kiddos who are coming through our workforce development program, we're going to be connecting with STEM jobs, entertainment jobs, athletic jobs, and connecting and getting our kids placed in that specific
Mhm.
area, so
Yeah.
that not only are they getting the exposure, but they're actually being able to work in it. So that's something that we want to do. We're really looking to be intentional about that. I was just having a conversation. You know, a lot of our Black and brown kids want to be athletes, but what happens if you don't become that NBA player or that NFL player or that NBL player, right? But
Right.
there's jobs that you can do that's in, that field. Sports
Right.
medicine, right? that's a
Mhm.
that's a big one. Physical therapist,
Mhm.
right? So we want to make sure that our kids are just educated on, like, what that pipeline looks like, what that career pathway would do. And then as far as housing, just being able to give access and letting them know the housing options that is available, and
Right.
not always having to give the answer where, sorry, there's nothing available, or sorry, no one can help you, or sorry, go through this resource and that resource is a dead end. Really truly having intentional connection points to say, here's what we do have, here's what we can help you with. We don't have this. Here's who does.
Right.
So that's really, what we're aiming to do.
That is amazing, and I'm so glad. So, have you found it easy or just friendly to partner with other organizations to come aboard on with your vision?
Um, I would say for grassroots organizations, yes.
Okay.
We typically experience we know what it takes to collaborate. When
Mhm.
it comes to larger corporations, it was very hard. What I will say is United Way took a chance with us, and that was an amazing partnership. They were the first to kind of give us the green light and partner with us in different ways. After we got the partnership with United Way, that really opened doors for a lot of other organizations. And then Waggy, one of our funders, have been amazing. They have been alongside us for the last 3 4 years, and honestly, since then things have kind of just grew. It has opened doors for other opportunities. And so I would say definitely not easy when you're dealing with such tough systems like housing,
Yeah.
or even workforce, our economy, as we see with inflation going up.
Mhm.
Um, but I would say we're definitely um now have the momentum to make the difference and have became a part of those systems.
Awesome, awesome. Because you know why I'm asking this because there's so many organizations in this community that offer housing, and sometimes they have housing just sitting there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Even in this economy in which the housing market is very tough and that there's so many waiting lists, but I've driven by homes. I'm like, these homes are empty, you know,
Yep.
and there's so many homeless people. You want to speak to that?
Yeah, so unfortunately, it's kind of what we spoke to about how we serve a special demographic. Unfortunately, certain funding only allows to serve certain people. And I
Mm,
think that's what the issue is. When you
okay.
have requirements that's being met and you accept certain funding, you have to meet those requirements.
Mhm,
And so a lot of these larger agencies or even some grassroots organizations who may be funded for housing, if they
mhm.
do not meet a certain requirement, they're not able to move into those housing options. And so
Right.
that's what makes it very difficult. And it's unfortunate because, you'll think in a perfect world, why aren't we changing the laws? Why aren't we changing the requirements and to be able to support other individuals who AMI is over 30% and 40%
Yeah.
and 50%, right? And so it hasn't happened yet. I think that there's a lot of awareness now around eviction prevention. I think we'll see some of that change in the future.
Mhm,
A lot of dollars are being spent on homeless populations. And
mhm,
so we got to be careful when we say, oh, it costs too much to do this or costs too much to do that.
mhm.
Well, as you say, we're dealing with the result of what's been happening for years.
For
And
years.
and so definitely I think there's some change that's happening. There's some things that even we've been included in as an organization. I can't really share just with certain things and contracts and stuff like that, but
Right.
um there is definitely some great organizations working behind closed doors right now
Yeah.
around eviction prevention.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I want to ask just a few more questions before we go. What events that you have going on? Is there anything upcoming events you got coming?
We do. So actually this Sunday is our back to school bash.
Mhm.
So we are looking to serve um 200 to 300 kids to provide them with backpack school supplies.
Oh,
We have individuals there doing haircuts. We're going to have a bounce house. We have a food truck. Kona Ice will be there giving out free ices.
okay.
Um, we'll be giving away toys. So
Aw-
just, yeah, a way to kickstart for school for some of our kiddos.
Awesome. Where is it going to be located?
So it's going to be at Garfield Park
Okay.
on the southeast side, and it's from 1 to 4.
From 1 to 4, Garfield Park. Okay. So tell us, how can people reach you?
Absolutely. So you can reach me at my website, www.meanincolors.com. You can always feel free to email me, Hogan, HOGAN.MIC @gmail.com. Or you can always call me 616-635-0170. It's an open number. It rings all day. That's our phone. So yep, either one
Mhm.
of those ways. Or you can also reach out to us too on Facebook or Instagram under Meaning in Colors.
Community colors. Okay. Last question.
Yes.
Is there anything else that you need that the community can help with you in building your business? Is there something that you've been looking for help?
Absolutely. Funding is our number one need. I know that it's a hard thing sometimes for the community when they think in terms, they see individuals, they think that they're successful. They see us with the cars, the things, and all of these things, and they're like, oh no, we don't want to give to that organization. She's okay. But believe it or not, it takes a lot of dollars to do the work that we do. And there is, because it's such intentional work, and because we're not able to get certain funding, as I you know
Yeah.
talked about, because of the demographic that we serve.
Mhm.
I tell you right now, the average person, a moving cost can be anywhere from $2,000 to $4,000 to move into a unit. They don't have that, right?
Yeah.
So when they don't have it, we try to support them in that space. We get people
Awesome.
that call us for food, giving gift card. I mean, you name it.
Yeah.
And you know, as much as I want to say, I wish that we didn't need the funding or those dollars. That is a big important thing. The
Yeah.
other thing is volunteers. It
Yeah.
takes a lot to put on these type of events. So
Mhm.
events like our back to school bash, we're going to be doing a holiday pop-up shop. We do that every year to provide an experience for families to be able to shop
Mhm.
if that can't afford Christmas. It's all free for them. It's all by donations. So
Okay.
things like that, just getting connected with us and volunteering.
Well, thank you, Miss Ariana, for your
Yes.
time today. I don't want us to get cut off, so I want to make sure that we get, moving. But I
Yes.
want to connect with you once again. I think there's some resources that I can share with you that may be helpful, especially when it comes to STEM. I got a girlfriend who owns an organization, yeah, and she's done fabulous work. I mean, she's doing great work with children in STEM. So that would probably be a good connect for you as well.
Yes. Is it Kelly?
Yeah, Kelly Christopher.
Yep, that's my girl. So I actually just spoke with her. We sit on a cohort together under fulfilling a dream. And so I just spoke with her this past I just spoke with her this past weekend because I went to her first. Like, that's your lane, that's your area. I am not big on reventing. Let's figure out how we can make this partnership and then get them transition to those work jobs. She does amazing work.
Awesome. Yeah, she does. She
Yes.
really does. So, do you have anything else? Parting words before we go?
No, I just would like to say thank you to you for creating a platform to be able to just speak about our organizations. I hope everyone can just go and share and like and support us in our journey. If there's any connections, any resources that would be available for the community that you think we could connect them to, please feel free to connect with us so we can make it happen.
You heard it first, Ariana. I mean, you know what? I just want to say we connected like this on the phone, and I'm so grateful that we had that connection. And I'm hoping that maybe we can team together on something, a
Mhm.
project, what have you, or if there's anything that I can assist you with, my family empowerment, we would love to. So,
Yeah.
for those who are watching, thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Marketplace Monday, and we hope that you join us once again in another week or so. Thanks a lot and have a great day.
You.